Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Hello, hello, hiya.
Hey. So, if you like, we'll make a very gentle start into the practice. I'll just. That's fine. That's good. Got it. Whoops. Okay. Welcome everyone, and welcome, Richard. It's your first time with us. We usually just begin by adjusting our postures and then reminding ourselves that a good posture, good meditation posture doesn't have anything to do with the statues of the Buddha and the yogis that we sometimes imagine and associate with meditation. It just simply means a posture that's comfortable, where you feel your body disturbing you a little bit less. For me, this posture is perhaps the most comfortable posture that I have, just because I've practiced myself into it. For you, it might be completely different, and so give yourself permission to lie down at any point, to stretch at any point, to have that sip of water, because we are here to be kind to ourselves. There are enough rules out there, responsibilities, duties, things that we have to do, things that we mustn't do. And that's the last thing we want to bring to this practice. I hope you can find yourself relaxing a little bit and easing yourself into the practice, not even feeling obliged to stay the full hour. I just thought in today's practice, we'll begin with, you can call it a poem, you can call it a mantra. It's something very ancient. It comes from the Hindu religion, but it doesn't refer to any god or any divinity or divine presence. And so it's completely neutral, it's secular, and I hope I can share it with you because many of the teachers who have passed through my experience, my life, have brought me back to this particular poem or mantra. They said it contained the essence of our practice. In a way, it condenses many, many teachings from many, many books, whether I can't remember if it's the Vedas or the Upanishads, down to 4 or 5 verses. And I use it to help myself understand, at least from an intellectual level, what this practice is about. And it begins, of course, it's translated into English. The first verse, it divides existence into 3 levels, 3 dimensions, or whatever you want to refer to it: earth, sky, and heaven. So the first verse, it identifies these 3 realms of existence. Earth representing this physical existence where we sit here, our bodies, made up of the same elements that you find on this earth: atoms and molecules, carbon based. And not only these bodies that we inhabit, the cushions we sit on, the chairs we sit on, the walls that surround us, basically matter. This world of matter, of atoms and molecules, which includes the air around us, the liquids around us, this whole planet Earth, the moons, the suns, the stars, the galaxies, the universe, and goes on and on. Countless galaxies. The scientists say there are more stars out there than grains of sand on this planet. And just contemplating on this material world or universe, you can begin feeling your mind expanding. But you don't have to grasp the whole thing because it's probably incomprehensible. But in this poem, in this mantra, this is just the first part, the smallest part of existence. And then it refers the second word, sky, earth, sky. And the sky, it refers to, at least this is how I learned it, the sky refers to the mind. Something quite separate from this body. And we know that because the mind takes us to many different places. It can take us to different parts of the world. With our minds, we imagine images from the Hubble telescope as we spoke of different stars in the universe. And so the mind, and just to give us an idea of what the mind, where the mind is, we have these bodies, earth represented by the word earth. And then there are the atoms and molecules around us that we cannot see. The oxygen, the carbon dioxide, the hydrogen, the nitrogen. And then you have the Wi-Fi signals, the radio signals, the phone signals, all of this. Not really translatable through our five senses. We need devices. And then there is sound, where the atoms and molecules, they move at quite a fast rate. The waves, the sound waves, they move at quite a fast speed. And then there is light, moving even faster than sound. And then beyond the speed of light is, according to these sages, these teachers, these ancient teachers, comes the mind, the speed of thought, creative thought. Back to the poem, back to the mantra, earth, sky. And then they refer us to something even more vast, more space itself. And they use the word heaven to refer to this space, but you can call it being, presence, awareness, stillness, kindness, well-being. That very essence, that life that seems to keep our hearts beating without batteries. That brings the green into the leaves, and is within the water that we drink. Something that is beyond the mind, and therefore something that we will not even attempt to comprehend using the mind because it is beyond the mind. And that's just the first line of this mantra, this poem: earth, sky, and heaven. The second verse, it refers to this presence, this beingness as that. It doesn't attempt to define it because it knows that it is beyond any word that can be used by us. It simply refers to it as that divine, that effulgence. It attempts to use light because light is undefinable, isn't it? It brings life to this planet. It brings warmth to this planet. It sustains equally and unconditionally. And so it perhaps this verse, these sages saw light as the closest way in which to describe this sense of presence, being. So the second verse, that effulgence that is beyond the comprehension of my five senses and my mind. Just calling it that. And the third verse, I bring my attention, my focus to this beingness, this light, this witnessing presence, whatever you want to call it. The third verse, I meditate on this light. If you like, you can visualize yourself being bathed by this light. And the final verse, you ask this light to enhance your ability to grasp its reality, its existence. You ask for the ability to tap into it, to experience it, not to think it, but to experience it, to move beyond the confines of the mind. And the final verse, you call for peace, peace to this material existence. And you can start off with the peace in your body, just the harmony between cells. Our body's made up of trillions and trillions of cells. Most of the illnesses and the disharmony we experience within our bodies have to do with the cells not cooperating with each other, having moved out of harmony. And so we call for peace to our bodies and this whole material existence. All of the different peoples, all of the different nations, between human beings and nature. and so on, between the animals and the bacterias and the viruses and everything else. We wish for harmony and stillness and peace. And then you ask for peace to the mind. And if you like, you can see your mind as an individual mind, just pretending like you would a flock of birds, your mind being represented by one of the birds in the flock. But have you ever seen I don't know what the right word is, swarm or school of birds? Flock of birds, that's right, a flock of birds. We want to be in harmony with the dance of beingness, of presence, of stillness, of awareness, which guides the flock of birds in the way they dance together in harmony with nature, with each other, with ourselves. Just peace, the final verse. You can use words such as harmony if you think peace has been overused. Well being. Because what is well being? It's that energy that keeps the earth rotating without us needing to ever do anything. It keeps our earth moving around the sun, giving us the different seasons, bringing warmth to different parts of this planet. Just peace, well being, that which keeps our hearts beating without us needing to remember or consciously do anything about it. The heart just beats, the breathing just unfolds, the blood just flows through our veins. Well being to all of existence. All of existence is well being. And this sums up the practice. And now, having intellectualized this practice, let us move into some of the tools that will help us to experience this well being, this harmony, this stillness, this kindness. I will ring the bell. It will represent an opportunity to release all of the stories that we have been carrying around with us. And by stories, we refer to pretty much everything other than the fact that we are sitting here breathing. Your bank account may be empty, you may be in severe debt. Doctors may have diagnosed you with a terminal illness. Your relationships may have just broken down. But all of that are part of the story. irrelevant to this present moment, where we simply practice sitting and breathing here in this present moment called the now. Here comes the bell. If you like visualizing this process of releasing, see yourself getting onto a train with two very heavy pieces of luggage. On one of the hands, you hold a heavy suitcase filled with the past, and on the other, you hold a heavy suitcase filled with the future. You make your way into the carriage and you find a seat, but instead of placing the pieces of luggage in the luggage compartments that have been provided, you instead put one bag on your lap and one bag on top of your head, which is what most of us do in our lives, living through the filters of the past and future. The muscles become tense, the legs and the lap become sore and numb, so numb that we begin to accept this discomfort as the normal. Now, this is where the bell's function dawns on us. The moment has arrived to place these pieces of luggage in the compartments that have been provided. Here comes the bell. Put down the luggage. Just release it only for the duration of this practice. Just to experience the relief of letting go. Now, my voice is going to guide you through different parts of the body because we've been holding on to these pieces of luggage for a very, very long time. Many muscles have become very stiff and tight, and that's only at the surface level, deep within our bodies. The organs, some organs have been affected, the flow of blood, the pressure, different glands, all connected to the stress and the worry of repeatedly revisiting the past and the future. Let's begin with the forehead, because there was a big piece of luggage resting on the top of our heads. And so the scalp has become tight, the neck muscles very tense, even the facial expression tight. Just find your forehead. And then release an intention that the skin around and within the forehead simply loosen, release, relax, and allow well being, welcome well being back into this region. Again, if you are a more visual person, then see that light that we used during the initial part of this practice, where we referred to beingness as that, where we referred to presence and awareness, that larger, kinder, and wiser part of ourselves as that light that is beyond the comprehension of the mind and the five senses. Feel this light bathing the scalp and the forehead, and its resulting ease as it envelops the scalp like a warm oil bath, penetrating through the skin into the thin layer of muscle that surrounds the skull. This layer of muscle loosening itself, relaxing itself. And then this light gravitating through the bone and reaching into the brain and around the brain. You can give the brain a little bit of time out. We all know the brain continues to function, but you're not really doing a lot physically. And so this becomes the perfect opportunity for the brain to scale back on its activities and simply just be suspended within the skull. This light moving through every cell within the brain. This light bringing with it all of the qualities of well-being. You could infuse this light with qualities such as kindness, harmony, ease, peace, stillness. All experiences that you are already familiar with. And this light spreading towards the front, into the eyes, initially reaching through the muscles behind the eyes so that these muscles loosen themselves, allowing the eyes to rest, no longer straining or attempting to focus or look in a particular direction, just finding ease, bathing the whole socket, the whole region where the eyes sit equalizing, balancing, releasing any unnecessary pressure that may be contained within. This light moving through the whole facial region from the skin through the muscle and its nerves, experiencing your facial expression from within, the lips, the cheeks, the jaw bones underneath the cheeks, loosening them, releasing any clenching or tightness that you may experience here. And then you become aware of the breathing process, the flow of air moving in and out through the nostrils. All you're interested in is this flow. Humidity levels, temperatures, direction, releasing a further intention that all of the muscles, all of the skin be infused with this light, filled with qualities of ease, of kindness, of harmony, of beingness, well beingness. Just being present here. Why does my voice guide you into the present moment? Because all of the stories, they exist in the past or in the future. And in this present moment, there is only ease and comfort and well being. You may sometimes hear your mind arguing with this, especially if you have a physical discomfort or labeling that a doctor has given you. Or obviously, nothing's changed about your bank account or your relationships. But the only difference is that you have released all standards against which you measure success, failure, good, bad, and all you find is perfection, even if it's a physical ailment. The very fact that we are here, that you are here in this practice, means that there is more going right for your body than wrong. And then we appreciate, we thank, we bask in the present moment and release the stories when we notice them arising. Feeling the flow of breath which unfolds in this present moment. And even if you detect tightness within your facial muscles, tightness that you can do nothing about, that is your experience in the present moment. And that is the function of this practice, to bring us into this present moment, releasing all judgments as to what we find no good, no bad, only perfection, having released all standards, all ability to compare the present moment against, embracing, arriving more fully into the present moment than ever before. This light of awareness spreading into the mouth and through the tongue and the gums and the teeth, and then up the sides of the head where the ears are. Becoming aware of the sense of hearing. Welcoming every sound that is making its way into our experience at this present moment, using every single one of these sounds as our doorways into the present moment. There may be children outside your window after the last school bell. There may be mobile phones going off and helicopters hovering above. But we become aware of our judgments. Our, I like this sound, I don't like that sound, I want this sound to be softer. We simply notice the chatter within the mind and release this chatter along with the judgments. And simply call this a symphony of sounds unfolding from this moment to this moment to this moment. Have you noticed how easy it is to spot the sounds that annoy you, that disturb you? This too is a precious, precious tool in the practice, simply because we are realizing how judgments draw our attention to some sounds more than others. And what we know, most of us will normally notice are those sounds that we either like or dislike. Just release these likes and dislikes and begin seeking out sounds that you neither like nor dislike. In practices such as this, we refer to these sounds as neutral sounds. For me, it could be the sound of my computer's fan. I barely noticed it. And then there is a faint ringing. I don't know if it's my eardrums or in the background. It's always there. but I don't notice it. Now bring your attention to this neutral sound that you have identified, one particular neutral sound. And if you can't find a neutral sound, the silence is very often neutral. The silence behind every sound, the silence behind my voice, the silence, those gaps in between my voice and every other sound that is entering into your experience. And draw your attention and your focus to this neutral sound, because it will become one of your most precious tools in this practice. Because it is these neutral sounds that will help our thought process to slow down, for it neither stimulates nor pushes against. You could even focus on your breathing, the sound of your breath. If there is such a sound, if you have sensitized yourself to pick up on the most subtle of sounds, and suddenly we have tapped into a tool that will not only be valuable in this hour that we have together, but in a busy street, as we travel on the tube or the buses or in cars or walk through busy streets or even queue up at the post office. There are always neutral sounds that become these precious tools, no longer stimulating new thought, and therefore providing us with the opportunity to simply observe the existing thoughts as they move through our experience. Now, feel this light bathing the passage within your ears, through which these sound waves enter into our experience. This light of awareness bathing the eardrum and the tiny bones within, on the inside of the eardrum. This light of awareness moving through these tiny bones that connect themselves to the very nerves that convert these vibrations, these sound waves, into electrical signals that move through the brain. Still, simply electrical signals, neutral, neither good nor bad, neither loud nor soft, until these sounds move through that filter called the mind. The mind that has learned the English language or whatever other languages it is that you speak, that has learned what a mobile phone ringing sounds like, that knows what a car alarm sounds like, that identifies what it likes, what it dislikes, what's too loud, what's too soft. The mind, that very mind that we are observing, that very mind that exists and creates time, that exists within time and creates time. Bringing ourselves back into this present moment. This light now having reached every cell within the head, making its way down through the neck, finding the top end of the spinal column that connects itself to the base of the skull. And then finding the light as it travels down the spinal column, vertebra by vertebra, helping you to understand your posture a little bit better through experience. The arch, the way in which the spinal column, the tail end of the spinal column rests on the pelvic bone. Digging the tail end of your spinal column a little bit deeper into your seat or your chair or your cushion. Stretching the top end of your spinal column upward, adding perhaps a few millimeters of height to your body, allowing that stretch, no matter how subtle, to provide an environment within the spinal column where its fluids, its energies, its nerves begin to flow more smoothly and easily and comfortably through the spinal column, awakening the immune system that reaches through every cell of our body, that very well-being. This light spreading through the nerves within the spinal column into all of the different organs within the chest, the mid regions of the body, the stomach, your whole torso bathed in this light of ease and well-being, releasing intentions that there be peace amongst all of the cells, the organs, the blood, the water, and all else that makes up our bodies. From the breathing process to the cleaning functions of the kidneys and the livers, all returning back into a space of balance, something that will continue well beyond the close of our practice. The whole pelvic region bathed in this light, the legs, the knees, the calves, the soles of the feet, and all of the tiny bones within the feet, bathed in this light, so that you are now becoming aware of yourself as a sitting, breathing body of light, body of awareness. Body of kindness and harmony and stillness and smiles. Now, why would we want to contain this light? Because as we had started this practice with that poem, we discovered that this light is beyond limit. It is a light that cannot be contained. And so, with the ringing of this bell, allow this light to move through your skin and into the very room that your body is inhabiting. Reaching the walls and the furniture, moving through the furniture. The furniture, which is simply made up of atoms and molecules with space in between them, moving through the walls that surround us, which are also made up of atoms and molecules with nothing but space in between them, moving into the streets outside of our flats and our homes and our workplaces, or wherever it is we may be. Reaching all of the life outside of these rooms. There are people, there are animals, there are birds, there are leaves, there are flowers, there's grass. Not only reaching all of these perceived life forms, but also the inanimate objects that we sometimes believe are not alive, the fences and the roads and the pavements and the buildings, all infused with atoms and molecules, which, according to the ancient seers and many traditional belief systems, aboriginal belief systems, contained this very consciousness and awareness that are connected to us in deep and profound ways. We allowed this light to move through the cities and the towns that we live in, moving beyond boundaries, geographical boundaries, national and international boundaries, through channels and oceans and continents, reaching mountains and valleys and mega cities and little villages all around the planet. This whole planet bathed in this light of awareness. And you may not be feeling enlightened, you may not be feeling joy, completely joyful, but you will notice a slight improvement, sometimes a very subtle improvement in the way you feel. And wishing this upon all beings, that this light reaches. That where there is loneliness, that this life, this light, which is the essence of life itself, brings that sense of connection, oneness, to all of those who may feel isolated and alone, so that they may experience this sense of beingness that we are tapping into. A sense of beingness beyond the boundaries of our forms, that they experience well-being, that those who are unwell, based on the definitions given by the medical world, find their bodies returning back into a sense of balance and well-being. And sometimes it may take the form of the correct medical attention, medicines, chemicals being released within their bodies and brains and spinal columns. And we end with the word peace. Let that be peace. We don't have to define who receives this peace. Just let there be peace. It could include peace to the body, peace to particular parts of our body, peace to particular parts of the world, peace to turbulent minds, peace to those whom we care about, no matter where they may be in the world. Just peace. And now the final bell. And as always, we remind ourselves that we call it the final bell simply because it marks the close of this 1 hour that we've had together, but it symbolizes the beginning of the true practice where we bring this presence and awareness with us into our dinners and walks and talks and everything else that unfolds before us from moment to moment and breath to breath as the day and the evening continues to unfold. Thank you. Please feel free to unmute yourselves. Very big